In the latest chapter, the storyline unfolded with a fast-paced rhythm, much as many fans had expected. The downfall of Damnatio came as no surprise, considering the inconsistency of his prolonged battle, especially when compared to Asta's swift victories over previous paladins even before completing his training in the Land of the Sun. Thus, the chapter commenced with a confirmation of his defeat, which had been highly anticipated. After the intense battle that occurred 2 chapters ago, where nearly every member of the Black Bulls faced critical injuries, it became clear that none of them would meet a tragic end. It was foreseeable that a miraculous solution would be presented to heal them and bring them back to the fight, and the Witch Queen emerged as the beacon of hope. However, Tabata, the masterful storyteller, skillfully introduced an unexpected twist to the healing process. While it was expected that the Witch Queen would assist the injured, the extent of her sacrifice took everyone by surprise. Exhausting her remaining power to mend the Black Bulls, she now finds herself in a position where she must step down as the Queen of Witches, bestowing the prestigious title upon the deserving successor, Dorothy. Throughout the chapter, the narrative was filled with tension and unpredictability, successfully holding readers captive in the fate of the beloved characters. The resolution was both satisfying and emotionally charged, as the Black Bulls were saved, but not without a significant cost. Abata's ability to maintain an engaging storyline, even when certain outcomes seemed evident, stands as a testament to his storytelling prowess. With the stage now set for Asta and the Black Bulls to return to the Clover Kingdom, they stand prepared to confront the formidable Lucius and his overwhelming army. Bolstered by the newfound strength from their intense training and driven by their indomitable spirit, the Black Bulls unite with a resolute determination to safeguard their kingdom against any impending threat. Originally, Dorothy had the desire for Vanessa to become the next Witch Queen, which is understandable given their close connection. Though not explicitly confirmed, it is evident that Vanessa holds a special place in the Witch Queen's heart, whether through blood ties or adoption, in her eyes. Vanessa is her daughter, and it's only natural for a mother to wish for her daughter to succeed her. I had anticipated that after the series' conclusion, because as Dorothy puts it in the chapter, she already had her 20 ES and 30S. I didn't even realize Dorothy was that old to be into her 30s, but she said she already had her time to enjoy herself, and now it's time for her to finally come home. And let's be honest, Dorothy is going to be as open-minded about integrating the witch's force with the rest of the continent as Vanessa would be. So this is basically just her getting the chance to set the groundwork before Vanessa eventually takes the throne. But yeah, with her remaining power, the Witch Queen was able to recover the Black Bulls back to full health. And you know, it's actually kind of funny. I debated over the week break, doing a video discussing who might end up dying amongst the Black Bulls, but I scrapped the idea for 2 main reasons. 1, I kind of figured that the only 2 people that actually had a slight chance of dying were Grand Gotch, and considering it was only just the 2 of them, it meant it was going to end up being an extremely short video. So there was no real point of doing it. And 2, I knew going into the video that none of them would actually end up dying in this chapter. So I didn't want to stoke the flames of disappointment for those fans who believe that death actually equals stakes in the story. As I knew, again, going into this chapter, that the Black Bulls would end up surviving, and them surviving would end up bringing unneeded controversy to the chapter. And I didn't really want to add on to that. But I didn't expect that to be the least controversial thing about the chapter, and that something else would make the fandom even angrier. And, you know, if I'm being honest, I really don't understand the anger revolving around the ending of the chapter. Because that ending reveal of Asta spreading his anti-magic across the bulls to me was a very hype moment. And I personally love the idea of him doing it. But the knee-jerk reaction from the vocal minority of the fandom is pretty much the exact opposite. Oh, you know, sometimes I feel like the Blackover fandom is like an active landmine when left alone, and the chapter is really good. Everything's hunky-dory, but the slightest disturbance of a quote-unquote bad chapter, and it explodes with angry comments about Tabata being a terrible writer and that the manga is going downhill. And look, I'm not here to tell you that you can't be disappointed with a chapter. I've had chapters of this series and other series that I love, like JJK, that I've been completely disappointed by. I'm just saying, Don't let one chapter overwrite all the good chapters that you enjoyed prior to it, especially when your anger for said chapter solely revolves around something that has yet to be explained. Because in the very next chapter, we could very well end up getting explanation for how this power-up works. And even if it doesn't happen in the very next chapter, or even a chapter after that, once one of these characters get into a fight, we'll immediately end up finding out exactly how this power-up works and how they're going to be able to use it. So, we just have to give the body time to cook and wait to see what he gives us. And also, I do want to point out that this power is not exactly coming out of nowhere like some fans suggest, because it was slightly foreshadowed in the previous chapter. Yes. And this is actually going to be a time where we actually had the fan translation doing a better job than the official translation, because in the fan translation of chapter 366, Yosuka mentions to Ichiko that a combo technique that Asta created works better with her than any of the other Ryuzans. And as we learned in this very chapter, it's easier for Asta to gift anti-magic to those who have a high compatibility with it and those who he has a strong bond with, both criteria that Ishika has over the rest of her team, as she does have Dark Yurioku, which does have some similar effects as anti-magic. This is why Yami has been able to be useful when fighting his devil since the beginning of the series. And out of the 7 of them, she has the strongest bond with Asta. Although that being said, I am extremely sad now that the door destiny is closed, because that means we'll never get to see an anti-magic empowered Ryu. Because if he truly was the rival to Yosuka before losing his Yoryoku, that means he must be extremely powerful and extremely skilled. And I don't know about you guys, but I personally would have loved to see that play out in action. To see exactly how he would have used anti-magic when fighting against someone strong like Wanda Paladin or She's himself. Now, in this video, I'm not going to go into all the details and reasons as to why this power can actually work. I'm going to say that for its own dedicated video. That way it can make sure I do my due diligence and do all the proper research and properly form my explanation. But I will say that anti-magic is still a complete mystery to us, even to this 100 chapters in. And we still don't even know how Lee was able to even form it. So it has properties that we as a fandom might not be aware of just yet. And it being able to work alongside magic is something we've seen throughout the entire series. And for example, back in chapter 19, when Asta was fighting against Mars, we saw him apply anti-magic to the water slash he sent flying at Mars, cutting through multiple of his attacks. Now, you could argue that that slash didn't actually have any anti-magic on it, which, okay, you could argue it. It was never exactly stated that it actually had anti-magic applied to it. But we do know of one instance where that definitely happened. You see, back in chapter 47, when Asta is facing off against the mud monster created by Sally, his demon dwarf sword began to glow, similar to how it did back in chapter 19 once he formed a Bono Gache, borrowing its magic power to create another flying slash attack. And on the edge of the attack, you can see a thick black line indicating that it is coated in anti-magic. And actually, if you go back and look, you can see a slightly thinner line on the edge of the wire slash in chapter 19 as well. So that is also proof that he was using anti-magic during that attack. Now, like I said, we still don't know the full details and history of anti-magic. Oh, we all just have our own personal theories based on the info the story has provided to us. But Tabata, he has the full blueprint on his origins and what is capable of doing so. We just had to wait and see how he finally reveals the full details of this mysterious power. And here I am looking forward to seeing exactly what he ends up revealing.